The first call came in just after dawn. They said it was a riot, some new kind of protest that had gotten out of hand downtown. I was flying a news chopper back then, a Bell 206, nothing fancy. My job was simple: get the reporter a good shot, keep us steady, and stay out of trouble. Little did I know, trouble was about to redefine itself. As we approached the city center, the scene below wasn't a riot. It was chaos. Cars were abandoned, some on fire. People were running, but not like you see in a panic. They were running for their lives, and the things chasing them, they weren't people, not anymore. They moved with a jerky, unnatural speed, stumbling but always getting back up, their only focus on the living. My reporter, a guy named Dave, was speechless, just pointing his camera, his knuckles white. I remember his shaky voice over the headset. "What is that? What in the world is that?" I didn't have an answer. I just pulled up, gaining altitude, trying to process the nightmare unfolding beneath us. That was day one, the day the world I knew ended. By day 3, the news station was gone, overrun. My chopper was my home, my fortress in the sky. I'd been lucky. I managed to land on the roof of a hospital to refuel from their emergency generator supply just before the ground floor was breached. From there, I became a freelance guardian angel, or at least I tried to be. I wasn't military. I didn't have guns mounted on my bird. All I had was a view from above, a radio, and a powerful searchlight. My new mission was self-assigned: find survivors, guide them to safety. I spent my days flying low and slow over suburban streets, my eyes scanning for any sign of life that wasn't infected. The radio, which had been a cacophony of screams and official warnings, had mostly fallen silent. Now, it was my lifeline. This is Sky Eye 1. I'd broadcast on every channel I could think of. If anyone can hear me, I'm over the northwest suburbs. I'm looking for you. Pop a flare. Wave a bright cloth from a rooftop. Let me know you're there. For a long time, there was nothing but silence. The fuel gauge was a constant source of anxiety. Every minute in the air was a minute closer to being grounded, a sitting duck. I learned to be efficient, gliding with the engine at low power whenever possible, using the wind to my advantage. I saw unspeakable things, things I try not to remember in the quiet moments. But I also saw glimmers of hope. A message painted on a rooftop: "Two alive here. Need water." A family huddled on an overpass, surrounded at both ends, waving a bedsheet. My first real rescue assist was for that family. I couldn't land, not on that narrow stretch of concrete. The infected were clawing at the supports below. I circled them, using my rotor-wash to kick up dust and debris, momentarily disorienting the horde. It wasn't much, but it bought them time. Through the radio, I guided a National Guard truck that I had spotted a few miles back. "I've got a family, 2 adults, 3 kids, trapped on the I-5 overpass at Mill Creek," I yelled into the mic. "The north ramp is clearish. You can make it." I stayed overhead, a noisy, hovering distraction, until the truck barreled through and pulled the family inside. Hearing the relieved thanks from the soldier over the radio, that was the moment I knew I couldn't stop. My chopper became a symbol. Survivors started calling me the eye in the sky. They'd use mirrors to flash my cockpit, knowing I was looking for them. I'd find groups on top of shopping malls, schools, warehouses. I couldn't carry them all. My small chopper could only take 2, maybe 3 passengers max. The priority became coordinating. I was the scout. I'd find a group, then I'd fly to one of the makeshift military-run safe zones that were popping up, relaying coordinates, numbers, and the situation on the ground. I became a dispatch, an airborne scout, a beacon of hope all rolled into one. One of my most vivid memories is from around week 2. I spotted a little girl, couldn't have been more than 7, alone on the roof of her house. She was just sitting there, hugging a teddy bear. A small cluster of infected were banging on the attic access door below her. The sound was faint from my altitude, but I could imagine the terror. Landing on that pitched roof was one of the riskiest things I've ever done. I brought the skids down so gently, the shingles barely cracked. I remember unbuckling and leaning out, shouting over the roar of the rotors. "Come on, you have to come now." She was frozen in fear. I couldn't leave her. I remember thinking, this is it. This is how I die. But then she looked at me, her eyes wide, and scrambled over. I pulled her in, strapped her into the co-pilot seat, and lifted off just as one of those things broke through the roof. She didn't say a word the whole flight to the green zone. When we landed and a soldier carried her out, she just looked back at me and whispered, "Thank you, Mr. Helicopter." That's what kept me going. But it wasn't all rescues. There were failures. Times I was too late. I'd spot a signal, a flickering light in a window, but by the time I circled back after refueling, the light would be out. The building swarmed. Those were the hardest nights. The guilt was a heavy passenger. I had to learn to focus on the ones I could help, not the ones I couldn't. I was just one man in one helicopter. I had to be enough. I developed new skills. I learned to use my rotowash as a weapon. A low, powerful pass could knock a dozen of the infected off their feet, giving people a chance to run. I learned to read the hordes, to predict their movements based on sound and light. I became an expert at aerial reconnaissance, spotting the subtle signs of a fortified location versus a death trap. See the broken windows on the ground floor? But the ones on top are boarded from the inside? That's a good sign. I'd tell myself. The early days were pure survival. Me, my chopper, and the endless sea of the dead below. I was the shepherd for a flock I could barely see, a voice on a radio that was mostly static. People talk about the heroes on the ground, the soldiers, the doctors, the scavengers, and they are heroes. But there were a few of us in the air, too. We were the first warning system, the last hope for so many. We saw it all, from the first chaotic moments to the establishment of the first real footholds of the new world. I don't fly the news anymore. My chopper is patched up, armed now, and my mission is clearer than ever. But I'll never forget those first few weeks. Just a pilot, his machine, and a promise to keep looking up. Because sometimes, that's where hope comes from. Thanks for watching. If you have your own stories of survival from the early days, share them in the comments. We all need to remember. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from the aftermath. Stay safe out there.